everyone. My name is Raymond Bryan. I run the Thinking Minds project, and this is the second day, second day of our motivation series, where we look at motivating and look at supporting artists during a really difficult time, where there's been a lot of difficulty in the world recently, and we are talking with artists who we think are inspiring and interesting and doing fabulous work. And today we are very lucky to be joined by Asher, a good friend of mine who I've worked with a lot, who is just coming in now. Right, yeah. Just waiting for them to join.
Hello.
Hello,
I had a
hi.
landscape and now it doesn't fit.
I can see your sign and half of your head. There we are, yeah. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's nice and sunny, as you can see. I'm having a good day. So, yeah, and thank you so much for coming along and speaking with us today.
Oh,
If I
thanks
just,
for having me.
I just wanted to introduce you a bit for those who may not have heard of your work before. I mean, Asher is an electronic musician and an improviser. Um, Amongst many other things. Maybe you could explain a little bit more about what you do and what you stand for, and yeah, just the work that you've been doing recently.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name's Asher. My pronouns are they, them. Um, I guess a few different things. I have just graduated from Guildhall School of Music on the electronic music course on the Sonic Arts pathway. I guess I mixed it kind of visuals and storytelling is really important to me. Though having graduated, I've done everything from music, sound design, web development, and show production. Up for anything. I'll
Yeah,
try and jump into. um,
awesome, awesome.
yeah,
So I guess I'll just jump straight into it. I've got a few questions that I thought we could talk about. Um,
yeah, go.
the first one being, what makes you feel fulfilled as an artist and a person?
That's a good question. I was racking this through my head when you asked me. Depending on what time of day you're asking me that question, it changes a lot. Um, for me, my biggest motivations are community, conversation. I like to be part of or try to have conversations with the work I do. I love to be involved with and collaborate with people. I could give more specifics. Maybe that's for in a minute. Yeah, I guess dialogues and
Mm,
meeting with people and going on adventures together is really, really, really important and really powerful for me. Um, so
mm.
I guess that's some of my most important motivations. On
Yeah.
a grand scale, I could be a bit more intimate with it and say like, um, ooh, I suppose, hmm, yeah. I mean, it's reaching out and touching people. I guess, especially during these times, is I mean, yeah, I guess it is on a kind of smaller scale. It's being able to communicate and contact people.
Mm,
I, for one, have absolutely struggled during this period of time with
mm,
being cut off from people in my community. And you know, as queer people, we invest a lot in our of time, energy, and sense of purpose and being in the people around us,
mm,
and so much of our history and social kind of representation is built around the spaces that we exist within. And I know that's for every community, but I think that's particularly hard for LGBTQIA plus people. Like, so losing those spaces has been difficult. So being able to be and exist. Okay, there's some answers. Being able to exist, to be visible and represented, and parts of conversations that enact those kind of changes and those kind of purposes are really important to me.
mm.
What? I hope that
Yeah.
answers it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you. Um, yeah, I really enjoy what you say about having a space to be and a place to be yourself and express yourself. Um,
Mm,
and a lot of that has, having the physical spaces for that because of COVID and for other reasons has been difficult. I mean, do you think
mm.
that technology is enough to be able to bring us a sense of community and support? Are there other ways that we can facilitate more community and more inclusivity, specifically within the arts, but also just in general? Do you think, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
It's a really good question. At the start of the lockdown, it did feel really like kind of shock horror.
Mm,
But I mean, there's so many people who are so resourceful, and just really amazing who've been putting on like cabaret shows on their phone. The cabaret community is really important to me, but being able to see things like that has been really, really cool.
mm,
Well, your project, connecting people through digital media and allowing a space for people to create and experiment has been really important. I would say that this isn't the kind of be all and end all. I think
mm,
that this kind of situation has opened up conversations that are really, really important, and that's about accessibility.
mhm,
There's been so many shows that have tried to increase their accessibility even within the digital realm,
mm,
um, and that needs to be taken back to our physical spaces as well.
mm,
And you know, so many of our venues don't have so much accessibility, like the kind of the physical spaces is it just isn't suitable for so many
mm,
members of our community. But things like a digital connection, even though isn't going to solve that in any way, shape, or form, but I think we should be utilizing digital internet and means to connect with people who aren't able to make it to the venues. And I
mm.
hope that's this is kind of been an opportunity for people to kind of experience that and be able to bring it back to whatever the hell normality is going to be when we get
Yes.
if we get there.
Mm. I think it's a really powerful time, isn't it, where we've been forced to change our thinking around how we can make things accessible because we can't physically be
Mm,
in the same space as other people a lot of the time because
mm,
of COVID. And actually, I've heard lots of people say this, and I think it's completely true that there's not going to be a reversal, if you like. Once, if COVID's over, we're going to have to embrace
mm,
this new normal and this new way of interacting with people and connecting with people in a different way.
yeah.
And I think it's a really useful way to incorporate more technology. And like you said, I have met so many people online through, Zoom meetings and, for example, the Queer Collective thing for a couple of months ago, I think it was, the cabaret shows and things like that. Um,
Yeah.
that I wouldn't have necessarily met otherwise. To be able to be in the same virtual space as that has been really nice, and it's been really fulfilling, I think, to still kind of have that connection that I think we all need. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. I was wondering next if I have another question for you, which is, what
Mm.
would you say to someone in the arts world, someone who's just graduated like yourself and myself, who's feeling really disheartened about the situation of the arts and kind of the isolation that we're all experiencing at the moment? If there's something that you could say to someone in that position, what would that be?
Um, Try to reach out.
Mm,
Try to connect with people around you. It has been really difficult, for myself included. But being able to see other people, even if it is in a digital space, has been really, really, really powerful for me. Um, yeah, I suppose. I mean, it's such a tricky one because a lot of people. I mean, like trans people, for instance, many trans people have had to go back to where their parents are, and
mm,
that means like being closeted. It means not being able to live their truth. So I
mm,
think there's a kind of um, maybe it's difficult to just be like, oh, well, reach out, and everyone's there, and I'm not ever going to be someone of like, you know, to just kind of like dismiss that. But I think there is something in saying that, like, you aren't alone, and not going down the whole "we're in this together" kind of vibe, because actually this has really, really revealed a hell of a lot of structures that are already there, and it becomes now like class structures, structures around accessibility that, you know, haven't changed, but have only just been highlighted, and rightfully so, being seen and visible in a lot of more I guess widespread media. But I would say reach out, find people, if you're on social media, like search like hashtags that are relevant to you and your experience. I mean, I guess after the show I can put some links in, but if you're a London-based person, every Monday there's a group for trans people to meet up in a socially distanced way. We watch films, we have workshops, we have discussions, and that's just one example. But I know that there are the groups, there are digital spaces as well for people too. So, you know, there's people who are really working through it and working hard to try and make spaces, whether it's digital or physical, for people.
And yeah, I like the idea of having the physical and the digital, actually, because I get the impression that, you know, that will serve different people, or it can mean that, you know, you're expanding the reach and the just accessibility that people have for that. That's fantastic. I think that would be lovely if we could put some of those links up afterwards. I think it'd be a great idea.
Absolutely.
Just bringing it back to some of your work that you're doing. What are some of the, I know you've been quite busy with a few projects recently. What are some of the things that you've been working on recently, putting out, and, you know, music and visual stuff? I know you do a lot of multimedia. What have you been up to recently?
Good question. It's been quite full on, but in like a really good way. I'm very lucky to have a lot of creative opportunities since graduating, but just full stop. Excuse me. The first one being, well, I mean, it comes from a place of difficulty, actually. I'm working with my mum. My mum's business is teaching children art, which was in a very precarious position during this time. So, you know, we had to seek other avenues. Well, for instance, like during the holiday periods, she runs workshops for disadvantaged children in the community. And since we weren't able to do that on a physical level, we've tried to digitalize it. So we're doing digital workshops where we essentially make the projects and film it and frame it as a workshop, and then people can access it. And we're also providing tablets for, I think, about 20 young people who during this time have had no access to internet, not even a computer. And you know, that's just one of the many disparate, I don't think that's the right word, that, you know, just one in many examples of the disparity that's being opened up in this situation. So that's involving web design, filming, and I'm making music for it as well, which is really cute.
Nice.
Some of the other ones, I guess that's quite PG. I'm doing a bit more personal projects. I'm collaborating with someone called Ruby, which is a commission from Vogue Fabrics, which is a venue here in London, like a queer arts and exhibition space, where also Transmissions is. They have actually been amazing. They've offered me a lot of social media work and graphic design opportunities and videography work.
Nice.
So yeah, and I'm also hosting a show. I'm producing a show. I'm producing a show there in October.
Nice.
Yeah, some production work, photography work, music work.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's full on, but I love it. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm here for. So, how about yourself?
Yeah.
I've been thinking minds, but share.
Other things, I guess, have been I mean, I've got a few albums in the works at the moment. I don't want to reveal too much at the moment, but a lot of like online collaboration and remote recording experimentation stuff with some visuals and yeah, just kind of looking to try and embrace the ways that we can use the internet and the resources that we do have readily available. You know, I'm very lucky that I have access to internet and, you know, an iPad and that kind of thing. So I think what you mentioned about, you know, there are so many people who still don't have access to internet, and that's something that I don't think is often very clear to a lot of us who are very privileged and, you know, have internet. Is such a valid thing. But
Very true.
yeah, we're very lucky to have internet access. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say, you know, if this pandemic happened even, you know, 20, 30 years ago, it would be an entirely different situation where, you know, we can't communicate with each other in the same way because the technology wasn't there back then. And it's really kind of made me think about priorities and the ways that we connect with people, and trying to be intentional with what the time that I have. I think there's just one more question that I'd like to ask.
Go for it.
So, well, actually, there's two, but we'll see which time. The first one being, why do we need art?
Why do we art? Art is fundamental. Art isn't just painting. It isn't just. I mean, it is essentially being creative, but it isn't limited to solely what you can create in a physical way. It's a way of looking. It's a way of thinking. I know for a fact that art is being taken out of schools. There is no art on the curriculum for so many places. I can speak from my own experience as an art teacher who works with children. There is none. Often, like just an after-school art club on one day a week is all the art that children get. And if you don't have that kind of creative mindset given to you, then you don't have a critical. I mean, people do, of course. All art is born often out of so many different complicated and nuanced situations, but it's a grounding in critical thought and applying your skills, whether it's motor skills such as being able to cut scissors. I mean, I know so many. I've worked with children who can't even cut a piece of paper. So yeah, I mean, art is fundamental. What more can I say? I don't know. Probably a lot.
No, there's so many different ways that you could take that question, isn't it? Because something that's been clear to me, certainly, even in the past kind of few days, is art is being restricted and kind of seen as this extra thing that we don't need as within the education system and also within the, you know, the wider society. You know, it's a question of, you know, why do we want to, how do we justify ourselves in taking taxpayers' money? What are we offering? What are we giving? Because for a lot of people, I find that there's a lot of resistance between us as artists and creating and offering things and people who may feel like they're not understanding what it's about or understanding, you know, how can I be a part of that? How can I relate to that?
Completely.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot of ways of, you know, how do we increase inclusivity and relevance to today. I think there's so much that needs to be discussed, and there's so much that is so useful to voice and, you know, talk about with other people rather than just thinking and getting in your own head. And art is a way to do that, where we can discuss and debate and tell stories, as you say, you know, tell someone's story that we may have not, you know, heard before. It's a powerful tool. So I think that was the last thing that I wanted to talk about was what are some of the most respectful and powerful ways to increase inclusivity in artistic spaces?
Partnerships, I would say. Making space for people. If you're in a kind of a school setting, it's about who you're hiring, and it's about who you're able to hire, employ, and who's going to be setting stand in as a role model for your students. If it's tied solely to the education system that we've just left, that might be some kind of options for them. But I would say partnerships, skill sharing, mutuality, and respect, and knowing when to listen. And I think ultimately it's about communication and dialogue, and holding space where you can is some of the most fundamental parts of being inclusive. And also, like, not being afraid, maybe putting your head above the precipice is a bit too strong, but understanding when situations aren't being respectful to vulnerable or minority identified people. I think that's something I can, as a white person, I have to be educated. I have to get educated, but it doesn't kind of end there. It's a process of growing, and it's a process of learning and developing, and so open-mindedness and eagerness to learn, I think, is an important part of that process for everyone. Always.
Yeah, I think it's hard to be open-minded when. Yeah, I agree. I fully agree with what you're saying. I think there's certainly the UK, I've often found there's like a reservedness to, if someone wants to be outspoken about something, it's so important to actually listen and not to just butt in and say, well, that's not my experience, or I'm not racist, or whatever. Well, actually, no, we need to listen, and we need to hear, because that's where, the dialogue, that's where the conversation starts, that's where things start to change, rather than walls being drawn up.
Completely.
So cool. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. If you want to plug any projects you're doing, any social links, anything like that, feel free now. And then,
Well, what should I don't know. How can I do links on here? Would it be easy if I message you it, or?
Actually, do you want to message me? Yeah. Do you want to message me some things, and I'll share them around, and we can put things out there. But and it would be great to get those links for queer spaces and supportive trans spaces and things to share around. That'd be great. But
and
Cool. Well, I mean, those are the questions that I wanted to talk to you about. But it's lovely to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's beautiful to see you.
Oh, and you.
We should get like a corny little selfie somehow. Maybe print screen.
Yeah, there we are.
How do I do that?
Oh, you disappeared now. You back?
Oh gosh! I pressed the wrong button. Let's just list for like 3 seconds.
Okay.
And then we'll screen grab it after.
Okay, cool. Yay! We like some cheese.
Yay, cheese!
Cool. Well, thank you again to Asher. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Lovely. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I'll see you soon, Ray. I'm sure. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
In person. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you to everyone who joined, and we will see you again tomorrow for the next video of morning motivation and another interview, which I will post about shortly. Have a lovely rest of the day. Look after yourselves. Keep safe. Wear your mask, and see you soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.